Alright everyone, 2010 F-150 4.6, and what we're going to be doing today is taking off this front fender. I'm going to show you how it comes off. Maybe some of you can use it. Why am I taking it off? Well, we got a little bit of body work that we have to do. The front cab corner here, up behind here, we have to work on, so the best way is to get this fender off where you can actually get up in here and work on it. And you can see right there, got a little bit of a hole, typical Ford. And the northeast, and also in the back here we got another place in the back that we got to work on. This in here is pretty easy. I think we can probably leave this door and get to that, but we'll see. That's another video. But for now, what we got to do, take out some screws here. Get a couple screws here on this little plastic piece that goes on the bottom right here. There's a couple of screws in the front. You take that off. A couple of screws on the bottom. There they are, and there's those there. So we put that off to the side. And then up in the fender liner here, we got a couple of screws here. These are little 5.5 screws, I believe. Yep. And this is what we got to take off next. There's a couple of these around here. So once we get these off here, then we can start working on pulling this piece of plastic out of here, because there are some bolts in here behind the fender, especially right here, that you cannot get from this side. Typically you can get them on this side, but you have to go in here and unbolt it from this side. So we got to pull this plastic cover off next. And now we got all these little plastic tabs here that we're going to push in. These are just wires on the other side, and I just take a pair of needle nose pliers and just kind of push them in like that. And I usually just go in and you get these out of the way. And once we get these out, then we got one more right here on the top. We get this black one out, push this up. Then really all we got to do is go ahead and pull off these big round guys here. There's one here, one on the front, and one here. All right, we'll get our last one out. Alright, so I've got 3 of these. Actually, there's 2 there that look like them, but these are just little places that don't even have them. So I'm ready to pull this out now. Now we're going to fight to get this out of here. Usually you just pull back on it, get it away from the front of the fender. It'll come out. But sometimes it'll make you work for it. Alright, so there's all that. There's our inner fender. And there's a quick look at it. You can see on the back side, you got a few things that actually is clipped onto it. All right, so there's a look at the inside of the fender, and you can see lots of room in here now. One of the things I've got to do next, I got to work on the exhaust, so that looks like that might actually be pretty easy to get to, but we'll see. So what you got to do now, what I would do, if you live in the Northeast, go ahead and get you an oil can. And there's some bolts up under the fender here that we eventually have to take out. Let's see, they are on the top right up here. Go ahead and throw some oil up here. Let these soak a little bit. I think you can see that where I'm at there. Just kind of let that, you know. Basically, it's right here where the fender comes together. Just let that soak. And here is some debris we got to clean out. And what we got to do next, there's one bolt right here. Now Ford, what they do, they spray this stuff in here. You know, most car manufacturers just put in some foam here. You can pull it out. But there's one bolt there we have to dig out on this side. Now luckily the top bolt up here on the top, we can get that from the inside when we open up the door. But there's one down here that we're going to have to figure out where exactly it is so we can get our socket on it. So let's go ahead and get that. So the bolt we're looking for is right below this line here. It's right below the hinge. And if we move some of this foam out of the way, if I move my socket, you can see where that bolt is right there. It's right about there, and I don't think you're going to be able to see it. But once you take a screwdriver and move that foam around, you can actually see it's 8 millimeter, what I'm trying to say. And up on the top here, we can get this one here, which is right about there. I think you can see it right there. Right about there. That little round one. So we can get that one from this side here. So I'll go ahead and get this one out here. Alright, so there's that little guy there. Alright, so here comes this one. This is a fairly long extension, and this here is also 8 millimeter. And see if I can grab it with my finger and pull it out without dropping it. Alright, there that is. So far so good. So having said all that, we're pretty much done here. And if you notice, if I pull out on the fender, you would think this would start to come out, but it won't, because we still have that foam in here. So at this point, the best thing to do is go ahead and stop and go ahead and start taking out these 3 bolts here that we oiled up earlier to take this top part of the fender out there. And there's 3 of them. And also, if you live in the Northeast, and I've got my wheel off right now, and if you want to take your wheel off, you know, to do this job, it's just as easy. I have a pretty rusty, sharp desk cover. If you have one of these, just do a rag over it, because you're going to lean in here a little bit and you might cut yourself. So we're going to go ahead and get all 3 of these bolts out up here. All right, so we're on our last bolt here. I don't know if you can even see this. It's probably pointless, but there comes the socket. And actually, there's only 2 bolts. That middle one up there, see there in the center, that's actually just a plastic guide pin. So we got this one here just about out. All right, here comes that one. So put all these in a baggie and don't drop them like I just did. All right, so oil, let it sit for a while, makes a big difference. I stick that in the bag. And by the way, I'm putting the socket like this with a little extension on it. That's how I'm getting them out. They actually drop down, those 2 there. All right, there's 3 10mm bolts on the top here. I got 2 of these out. I'm holding the last one here in the middle. And once you get this out, the fender gets really loose at this point. And there is that one. And you can see our fender is really loose now. Alright guys, I kind of lied. There's one more bolt right here. There's, like I said, the 2 back here on the top where it's flat. Then you got one right here back where it's kind of angled, and there's a little 10mm here. And once you get this out, then this whole thing becomes loose. I knew there's 3 here. I just forgot about this bottom one right here. And in the little baggie we go. Alright, so we're making some decent headway. Now the next thing we got to do, and this is probably going to drive you nuts, we've got to get in here and get this foam separated from the rest of the automobile. When I pull this back here, you can see I got some of it loose. What you could do is take a big screwdriver like this and get in here and loosen up the back side of the foam here all the way down as much as you can. Try to separate it from this part. And once you start working it, it'll come loose. And you got to be careful because you don't want to bend your fender. And just slowly pull it apart. I mean, what a mess. But you can see, once we get up here and get this kind of separated, then this fender will pretty much come off. So I've got the camera set up here, and I apologize for the birds, but it's better than listening to engines and people squealing their tires, right? It's nature. So I'm just going to gingerly there we go. And we got a little more on the front here to get. We got a small section on the front, and it's actually this little piece of foam right here. You see, once we get that separated, then this fender should come off. So I'm just going to pull on this, and I think I can get it apart like that. About is. All right, so we got 2 little bolts here to take out on this. This is the bracket that's connected to the fender. So I make it pretty long, and part of the headlight assembly goes into the front of it, but I think we can slide this off without messing with the headlight. This is a 8mm bolt there. All right, so there's that one. And there's one behind it. All right, we've got one more back here on this, behind that one there that we just took out. And this is a little 8mm head, and this here lets us move this whole fender down, this whole bracket piece. And since we're moving that, I think we can go ahead and these little pieces here, these little tabs, this is where the headlight goes in right there. It's kind of a guide pin. I think we can probably just pull that off there and take the fender off without taking out that headlight there. Let me give you another look at it there. So we'll try that first, but the fender's ready to come off. All right, so having done all that, we'll go ahead and set the camera up here, and you can watch me try to get this apart. Well, actually, it came right up. I'm surprised. All right. there we go. One 2006 F-150 driver's side fender off. All right, so there's a nice look at it. We didn't put any dents in it. Looks good. And on the back side here is where you will fight trying to get this out. Well, there's probably a dent in it now or a scratch. But anyway, here is where the foam is. And this stuff is just, it's on there. But if you can get part of it loose on one side, then you're okay. And up here on the front, let's see. Oh, it looks like someone, well, I have to fix that. It looks like somebody tried to do something there, but all the bolts there are there and there. Let's go look at the inside of the fender on the vehicle. And there's what it looks like here. So I was able to leave the headlights in because these things here, you know, you got to be careful. They can break, but these are just little guide pins. And that's basically in a nutshell how this thing comes off. And there's all that foam. If you can get it separated, you know, then you're okay. And now, going through all that, we could work on the cab mount corner here, but you know what? I still may go ahead and take this door off. It's a lot easier, just 4 bolts and a plug. I think we'll do that because I want to do it right. So, and yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. Is go ahead and pop the door off. It'll be a lot easier. So that's it for that. I may do a door video for you guys just so you know how to take that off. But there is how you take off a fender on a 2010 F-150. At least that's how I did it. Hey, let me know where you're watching from right now. And until my next video, guys, I will see you later.